Tier 1. Hashtag BringBack2012. Hashtag BringBack2012 was a big hashtag for Angry Birds fans in 2019, after Rovio, the makers of Angry Birds, decided to remove loads of games off the App Store. Games like Angry Birds Star Wars, Space, and even the original were just randomly gone. To this day, most of the games still aren't available, and it's just kinda sad that you need to download them from some pretty shady sites. Angry Birds Nest. Every game franchise has their creator, someone who does all the guides for the game, and Angry Birds has Angry Birds Nest, a YouTuber who posts a guide for every single Angry Birds level and even has a website that is the same but with text. But yeah, he hasn't uploaded in 2 years with how few games there's been recently. Angry Birds Friends was a Facebook exclusive. After Rovio decided to completely get rid of the original Angry Birds off the App Store, people didn't have any way to play the first game. That is, unless you had Facebook, where you could play Angry Birds Friends, which is basically just the original Angry Birds but with more events, levels, scoreboards, stuff like that. Now it's on the normal App Store as well, but for a good chunk of time was just on Facebook. King Pig Golden Egg. The Golden King Pig is a special trophy that's unlocked by earning 3 stars on all of the levels from Poached Eggs to Birthday Party. Some of the levels to get this trophy could be pretty tough, but like mentioned in the previous entry, there's a tutorial for pretty much all of these just on YouTube. Angry Birds Halloween. In the original Angry Birds game, once it became spooky season, Halloween time, they would release new levels specifically for that holiday. Starting off with the Trick or Treat levels that were all Halloween background, pumpkins were laid about, very stereotype like kid Halloween. And people enjoyed it so much that it turned into a separate game called Angry Birds Seasons, where levels like this would just be the whole gameplay. And it would cover more than just Halloween and Christmas. New seasons were being added to the game from 2010 to Christmas of 2016, where it'd soon be shut down after. Beta Chuck design. The beta design for Chuck, the yellow Angry Bird, was quite a bit different from what we got in the full release. It looked pretty similar to Red. I'm just glad they ended up changing their mind on it. And if you didn't know the yellow bird was named Chuck, I should probably just go over the birds' names right now. Going left to right here, the big red bird is Terrence, white bird Matilda, bomb bird is just Bomb, the green boomerang-like bird is Hal, Chuck, the yellow fast one, Red, the original, Stella, the pink one, the blues for the small blue guys, and Bubbles, the small orange one. In the next entry, we have a new one, Tony. This is Tony, Terrence's Finnish cousin, first appearing in Angry Birds Season on the level On Thin Ice, 1-2. He has an ability that lets him do a big ground pound and unfortunately hasn't appeared in any game since Seasons. Yeah, this whole character just appeared in Seasons and hasn't been brought back or mentioned at all since it came out. Angry Birds Rio Nigel mashup. To help promote the upcoming Angry Birds Rio game inspired off the movie Rio, Rovio and 21st Century Fox made a mashup music video with the Angry Birds and a scene with Nigel, the main bad guy of the movie. It was just a really weird music video, oddly well made as well, like it looks like it could be in some sort of movie, but yeah, there's an official music video with the Angry Birds in a movie. Plushies. Like with every other mobile game series turned popular, Plants vs. Zombies, plushies are the way to go. With so many colorful different characters, I mean, plushies sell like crazy. For Angry Birds, they were mostly being made through the company Mighty Mojo Toys, and all of them are still available. You can still go to the site and buy any of them that you want. Smosh voiced Hal and Bubbles. Angry Birds was massively popular, mainly 2010 to 2016, and you know who else was really popular around then? Smosh. They got to voice Bubbles and Hal, the small orange and green bird, first in a short animated YouTube skit, but also in the 2016 Angry Birds movie. Yeah, wild. A letter to our fans. In June of 2021, Rovio released a big letter to their fans talking about what's been going on with Angry Birds. And a lot of it is just thank yous and stuff talking about the movies, but at the end they address all the games being missing from the App Store. They said that they want to bring back older games like Angry Birds Classic and Seasons and are actively working on it, but well, that was in 2021, and none of them have been brought back yet. Luckily though, in August of 2023, Sega now owns all of Angry Birds, and even though nothing's come out yet, that is a yet, Sega re-releases a lot of stuff, and hopefully this means they'll bring the older games back to the App Store. Ruby/female Redbird. For the Valentine's levels of Angry Birds Seasons, Girl Bird was made. Yeah, pretty bad name, but this girl Redbird was a love interest of Red. And they didn't make too many other appearances, except for an Angry Birds Evolution, where she, looked a bit different. Old level complete screen. The old level complete screen for Angry Birds was Yeah, that just looks cursed. I assume the gray bird on the left was meant to be the black bird we have now, but everything looks really, like, way too detailed. And why'd they gotta do that with the pigs? Tier 2. Angry Birds theme parks. Angry Birds is at a weird point of a franchise at the moment. There's hardly any games being released, but there's movies and now theme parks? Yeah, there's quite a good number of real-life Angry Birds places to go to. Granted, 9 of the 15 are just golf places that are Angry Birds themed, but there's a cafe in New York which is really cool, and well, that's about it for the US. In Finland, Spain, Qatar, and China, there's complete theme parks. The biggest of these by far is in Qatar, having a massive slingshot ride, massive sets from the games, mascots, more rides. I mean, it's just insanely big. My only complaint is that there's nothing in the US really. Unstable levels. Angry Birds 2 was quite a bit controversial. There's a lot of systems in the game that a lot of people don't really like, but one of the biggest things is that a lot of the levels are procedurally generated, and that in itself isn't awful, a lot of games do it fine. But with procedural generation comes very rare circumstances of extremely bad design, like some levels being completely unstable. There was quite a good number of levels that were just completely unbeatable or fully corrupt. A lot of these have been fixed at this point, but it was quite a big issue for a while. Bad Piggy's Best Egg Recipes. There's an official Angry Birds egg cookbook. This book was released in August of 2011, and later released as an app in October of 2012, and was written by Chef Pig, as seen in the Christmas comic. I can say this is one of the last things I expected from this franchise. Duolingo crossover. It's been a meme for quite a while now with how pushy the Duolingo bird can be to do your lessons with all the notifications it gives you. And with Duolingo being a bird and Rovio being the company that they are, they decided to do a collab together. Playing into the meme, they did a live-action skit of Duolingo bird destroying everything in a bar, and eventually added Duo into Angry Birds 2. So yeah, now we have official footage of Duo from Duolingo destroying an entire bar, and he's in a game now. Angry Birds VR. From early Beat Saber videos in 2014 to brand new Batman and Metro games releasing in VR, this type of gaming has progressed a lot, and I'm so glad it's reached its peak with Angry Birds VR. Yeah, there's an exclusive Angry Birds game to VR that lets you move around and actually hold the screenshot to, shoot off birds to the pigs. It's actually really fun. You even get to make your own levels in the game, which is something that people have been asking for quite a while now. Bad Piggies 2 ads. In June of 2021, there was 3 separate ads for Bad Piggies 2 going around on TikTok. All in their own different styles, but it's been 3 years now and all we've gotten is a weird soft launch in some Nordic countries of Bad Piggies 2. Like, that's cool, but it's almost 2025 and it's not in any other country since. It's especially annoying with, if you've played Bad Piggies, that's one of the best Angry Birds games, just flat out. So hopefully eventually this comes to any other country. Celebrity birds. Angry Birds has had a good number of real-life people be turned into birds, usually for advertising, but unfortunately this one in the top left was for an actual game. Yeah, Dr. Disrespect and PewDiePie were gonna be Angry Birds going head-to-head in a 5v5 reality show mobile game. Obviously, with recent events with the doc, this isn't gonna happen. This game was advertised a lot in April of 2021, but if it was anywhere near completion for any time soon, they're probably gonna replace the doc with someone else. Crush the Castle inspiration. Crush the Castle is essentially just Angry Birds but medieval. What's odd though is that the game came out in April of 2009 and Angry Birds December of 2009. They're two very similar games and a lot of people claim that Angry Birds is just a copy of the other game and that it was made super quickly, but no. They were just being made at the same time. And sure, there might have been some inspiration, but the whole idea of knocking down a tower with people inside it isn't exactly copyrighted. Plus, with the time it takes to make a standard game, I highly doubt they just made it between April and December. Just a really badly timed coincidence. Sonic and Angry Birds Epic. Angry Birds Epic is a big standout game for Angry Birds since it doesn't play like an Angry Birds game at all. It's a turn-based, almost RPG-like game, and with Sega buying Rovio and Angry Birds with it, they were able to do some pretty cool collaborations. So yeah, Sonic's in this game. It was just a one-time event, but at one point, Sonic was in Angry Birds Epic. Just an insane collaboration, and speaking of insane things, official Smash or Pass. Literally the first thing the official Angry Birds TikTok account posted after the purchase of Rovio by Sega was an official Smash or Pass video. Yeah, it was something else. Why'd he say pass the link? Tier 3, Fun Video TV. Fun Video TV is one of those channels where you can just tell what their fan base is like by taking a quick glance at it. Yeah, obviously not official, not by Rovio or anything, but they made lots of popular Angry Birds animations that look cursed, but they did really good. Prototype Hal design. This is Hal, the green boomerang-like bird, and he looks cool and everything, but his prototype design looked a bit different. Personally, I kind of prefer this design. It looks a bit more like a toucan, which sorta seems like what they were going for. Also, unrelated to the games, but toucans have translucent skin, so you can see straight through their neck if you pull back their feathers. Just needed to tell someone about that. It's really weird and I saw it like a year ago and it's just been on my mind constantly. But yeah, the old designs of Hal are good, but it does make sense why they changed it. The newer one does look a lot friendlier. Chrome Dimension. In May of 2011, different Chrome icons were added throughout different Angry Birds levels, and if you got all of them, you could go to the Chrome Dimension of levels. The main differences with these levels is that Chrome logos were just hidden throughout the background, and different symbols relating to Chrome were around the pigs. Matilda was originally green. This is Matilda, the big white bird that can drop eggs on enemies and make them explode. But originally, she didn't look like this at all. She was gonna be a green, small, circular bird who, looked a lot meaner and just worse. Very glad they changed the design of this bird. Angry Birds Polish energy drinks. There's some Polish energy drinks that were branded with Angry Birds when the movies started coming out. They've slowly been moving their way across the EU, like recently making it into Russia, so nothing for us here in the US, but somewhere in the world are Angry Birds energy drinks. Angry Birds World Tour. Angry Birds World Tour is an Angry Birds game that takes place throughout a lot of different continents, having levels be themed around those continents. This game was specifically made to be in-flight entertainment on planes, having started being available in April of 2015, and the last known instance of the game was May of 2024. So there's for sure some planes out there that still have this game, and that's the only way to play them. Dave77748. Dave77748 is a YouTube channel that got very popular for Angry Birds animations. Like, some of them were very popular. Unfortunately, he hasn't uploaded in 4 years, but hopefully whenever the third Angry Birds movie comes out, he'll do another. Angry Birds Go 2. We all know the best Angry Birds games are the ones that aren't like Angry Birds at all. I adore Angry Birds Star Wars. Like, gosh, Angry Birds Star Wars 2 is probably my favorite. But some of the best games don't feel like Angry Birds at all. Angry Birds Epic, Bad Piggies, and Go are all amazing. And Go, the racing game, is by far my favorite of these. There's concept art for a sequel to this game, but we only have 3 images of it. And one of them is just line art of one of the other images. If you've played the original Angry Birds Go, you know how amazing it'd be to get a sequel game. But for now, all we have is 3 bits of concept art. Tier 4. Angry Birds with an I. For April Fools of 2015, Rovio put out a trailer for Angry Birds with an I that was to be a visual novel, farming, and horror game all in one. Yeah, obviously meant to be an April Fool's joke, but they went pretty crazy with this trailer. What did they do to Hal? Mine and Dine was going to be the ending. Angry Birds used to get consistent updates with new levels and new cinematics as you'd go through these levels. And in 2015, the Mine and Dine series of cinematics finally came to an end. And at the end of it, this time it had credits, wrapping up the whole story seemingly. A lot of people thought this was going to be the end of the whole story, but it turns out that if it was meant to be the end, they just changed their mind because they kept going. The pigs were inspired by the swine flu. Around the time Angry Birds was being made, the swine flu was getting really big, and this flu made some pigs turn into a weird green shade. So, since the bird needed an enemy and all that was on their minds was the swine flu and these weird green pigs, why not turn those into the enemies? Super Angry Birds. Super Angry Birds is a 4-issue comic miniseries that was released on April 3rd, 2015, starring Chuck, Red, Bomb, and Terrence. Yeah, all in a new style. They only have 4 issues at the moment, but it was confirmed to be a part of the, yes, this is a real term, Angryverse. It's crazy that these birds got a comic series and now have a MCU-type timeline. I really don't know how it's gotten this complex. George. This is George, the earliest version of Red. Not a whole lot to say about this one. Obviously the style of the game has changed a lot, and wow, I'm glad they changed George into something else. Even all the other birds looked a lot different, like Terrence was originally going to be purple. Ruffle. Ruffle is the name of a streaming service that was active around the time Bad Piggies came out and was even advertised in-game. It featured lots of Angry Birds themed content and was exclusive to iOS. Soon after its launch, all the videos would be put on YouTube, but now this service is down and all the videos are privated. Striped Bird. This is a striped bird, a non-playable bird that's only been shown off a few times around Easter. Not much is known about it since it's not playable or anything, but yeah, we have a bird that's exclusive to Easter appearances only. Obama bird. When Obama was president, there was a lot of issues with spying on people through the internet. Not his fault or anything, but he was president at the time, and one of the biggest uses of internet was through mobile games. Even if it was just connecting to the internet to compete on a scoreboard, it could leak a lot of information. So for a cover of a magazine talking about this, we got Obama bird. This wasn't officially by Rovio, but at some point after this, Rovio tweeted out an image with an official Obama bird in a painting. Also, with security risks of using a mobile game on the president's phone, Obama couldn't play Angry Birds until 2016. Must have been an awful life for Barack Obama. Tier 5. Angry Birds Land. Opening in Finland of 2012, Angry Birds Land is a 600 square meter park that's been active for 11 years. It has a whole bunch of rides and it's honestly pretty impressive. There's plans to move this park to Asia as well, but this is by far one of the biggest Angry Birds parks. Mystery game. There is a still unidentified Angry Birds game that was being developed in 2011. All we have are these images, and a lot of people think it could have been early versions of Seasons, but there's still no for sure answer what this actually was, or what it turned into. Coco Bird. In 2011, the Angry Birds Twitter account tweeted to Conan O'Brien, the best talk show host, a Conan bird, or Coco Bird. Since all of Conan's stuff online is Team Coco, not much for this one, but yeah. Conan O'Brien is an official Angry Bird. Tier 6. Allow bad piggies to make and manage phone calls. With Android phones, when you have to allow permission for certain things, sometimes features that have no relation to each other get grouped into one category. So if you got bad piggies on Android, it'll ask if you want to allow access to make and manage phone calls. In reality, it obviously won't make or manage any phone calls, but it's really funny seeing this on bad piggies. Cancelled Angry Birds Star Wars Jenga commercial. There was gonna be an Angry Birds Star Wars commercial by the company that makes Jenga, hence being coined the Jenga commercial, but it was cancelled from going out. Fortunately though, the people who worked on it released it online and showed off some of the assets. And it's all shockingly high fidelity versions of all the birds in Angry Birds Star Wars. Just kind of insane how good they look. They for sure didn't need to go this far with it. Mighty Mouse. So this is the Sardines, an item you can use to spawn the Mighty Eagle in the original Angry Birds game. You'd slingshot this, and once you tap on the screen, an eagle would come down and smash everything. But at one point it was retextured to a mouse that the eagle would presumably want to eat and soar down for. This was changed very quickly, but at one point we had this little mouse guy that the eagle was just coming down to kill. And that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you for the recent support on the other videos. If you enjoyed, maybe subscribe, like, all that stuff. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, week, month, and I'll see you in the next one.